Let's talk about meat. The ultimate pastrami, it should be super juicy, tons of flavor, not just from the smoke, but all those great spices. It should be so good that you can eat it hot or cold, in a sandwich, or even on its own. That's the ultimate pastrami. To make the ultimate pastrami, we're gonna need a lot of flavor, a lot of smoke, an amazing cut of meat, and an unlocking technique. And in this case, it's gonna be sous vide. So I'm taking the best cut of meat for long cooks, which is short rib. I'm gonna take all the best spices that are in pastrami, and I'm gonna like really maximize them, not just on the outside, which is where you usually put them, but I'm gonna put them on the inside with the brine. From there, we're gonna smoke it to get a really nice bark on it. And because we're cooking it sous vide, we're gonna maintain all the juiciness that you want in a short rib or any great piece of meat. Over here we have pastrami, just your everyday pastrami that you get at the store. It's dry, it's tough, it's covered in all these spices, but they don't really have a ton of flavor. I think the best you can do is like slice it thin. Over here we have ultimate pastrami, a very different beast. This is a pastrami recipe that I've been working on for 15 years. And I did pretty much every cut of beef, everything from beef cheeks to tongues to shoulders to everything. And I landed on this guy. We're gonna do a little bit of side-by-side tasting with the classic. There's so little flavor.
Crazy. I think we've been spoiled with this. So much better.
That's meat candy. That's like,
Dude.
you can kind of like see through the fat a little bit. So you have a ton of fat in here that's still keeping it super, super juicy. So this guy just no juicy to unlock. I like short rib. It's a really versatile cut for textures to really tender and just fall off the bone and suck in. It's got a ton of collagen in it, and it's so buttery and mouth-watery. You're gonna want to trim it a little bit. This silver skin on top is really, really thick. I get rid of this. I don't need to trim all of this because it's just this thick part of the silver skin. You've got like a little blade of it. All this fat won't render at a low temperature, so I'm just gonna get rid of some of it. That's enough. I don't trim all of it. And then, because if I get some of this silver skin off the back, a lot of brine can go through the membrane a lot easier. Ta-da! This is it. Yum. Now we brine it. The brine that we have here is an equilibrium brine that's about 3%, which sounds kind of salty, but that's counting the nitrite. And what that does is basically compensates for some of the fat too, because you got a real fatty piece of meat. Usually a fatty piece of meat, you want a little bit more salt. In the brining universe, you can do like a heavy brine that's 4, 5, 6, 7%. If you're gonna brine a piece of fish or something, you can even go like 20%, and it's a quick brine. So you can cure and tighten up the outside of the protein. But that brine, even in a few hours, doesn't travel more than a couple millimeters into the surface. This brine, we want the brine and the spice flavor to go all the way to the center, and that takes a long, long, long time. So I usually make pastrami once or twice a year, and then I give it to friends, give it out at barbecues, and serve lots of it. I usually don't just do one plate. So think about that when you make pastrami. You can scale up the recipe on Chef Steps. You can add your meat weight, and it calculates everything else for you, easy. So here we go. Nick just reminded me, we need bay leaf. Never buy dried bay leaf. I just don't get it. It smells like nothing. It's like worse than printer paper. But this stuff smells like vanilla, lemony. If you don't have fresh bay leaf, just skip it. This is unnecessarily large, but it'll work. It's like trying to make me look stupid. Can you get a bigger whisk? Salt and sodium nitrite. Sodium nitrite, it's going to be like an antioxidant for the meat. Brown sugar, fennel, mustard, pink peppercorns, regular peppercorns, chili flakes, tons of coriander, clove, cinnamon, dunzo. This is the sort of thing where in a cold brine like this, in 5 days or a week when you pull the meat out, it's gonna be super aromatic. And we're ready to put the meat in and put it in the fridge for a week. God, that's pretty. They're making Ziploc bags that are 2.5 gallons now. Nick says I should double bag because there's bones and they're sharp. That's the other thing, we're not talking about the bones enough. I'm leaving the bones in because I like the flavor, there's some marrowiness in it, and I like the showmanship. It's amazing how much volume is in these bags though. Nick, I need your help! Thank God for teamwork. So this guy goes in the bottom of the fridge, in that little secret vegetable crisper drawer. It's just a safe place that's stable temperature-wise. First off, I'm gonna get rid of a little bit more air here. Let this meat sit here in the fridge for 5 days. The salt and the sugar will travel on its own. That's called osmosis. It's not gonna just get stuck in one place once it's in the liquid. But the spices sometimes just sit there, and you wanna make sure that they move around a little bit. Just give it a little jiggle in your drawer, and that's it. Let's put it in the fridge. It's been 5 to 7 days. So essentially, we've made corned beef. In order to make it pastrami, I'm gonna add more spice and smoke it. Somewhere in that process, it's also gonna get cooked. This brine could be your sink, could be your neighbor's yard, whatever. And this is where it gets really easy and convenient, because check this out. Couldn't be easier. Done. Oh yeah. It's been cooking sous vide for 24 hours. You can do longer, you can do shorter, and it's freaking hot. It looks like some freaking cut of like a dinosaur plus an alien had a baby right now. This is our ultimate pastrami. These are both cold but cooked. I want to talk about the nuance of just a few degrees temperature in yield and texture and what that does to the meat. You see how these bones, you got like 2 inches of these rib bones here as the meat receded back, and that's because the proteins are getting tighter and tighter and tighter, pulling back. This one you can see the maybe sticking out 1/2 inch, barely, and what that means is there's still more moisture in the meat. So there's more yield in this lower temperature, which is 6,447 Fahrenheit for 48 hours. This one's 7,261 for 24 hours, and this one is gonna be a little bit leaner, but not as lean as that store-bought stuff that's really, really lean. So that's the difference of the cooking temperature. I'm making the ultimate pastrami, so I'm putting in it a real smoker, but you can also use liquid smoke, which we talk about at chefstuffs.com. I gotta buzz up all these spices. Super hard stuff like peppercorns takes a little bit longer to buzz up. Coriander's super soft. The salt and the brown sugar and the garlic powder doesn't even really need to be blended. And the chili flakes, up to you. So I'm gonna start with juniper because it's like tar. Smells like a good gin and tonic. God, I love juniper. Peppercorns. A lot of times when you're grinding spices, you think just dump them all in at once, but you'll get a different effect depending on what order you add everything in. All right, here we go. Check it out. It really does smell like gin with black pepper. Brown sugar, garlic, salt. And this is our rub. You smell it from here. It's really nice stuff. Like I said, I've been developing this spice blend for 15 years. So you don't need to go crazy on it. You don't need to like pack it on or press it on, but I do like a good amount. Oh my God, that looks pretty. Oh yeah. This guy is ready for the smoker. Every smoker's different. Some you might want to put on a tray, some you might want to hang by a hook. There's no tricks about this. How long do I smoke it for? Well, really it's about how much smoke you want. If you have like a really high-end cold smoker and you want a real mellow smoke, it's gonna take forever. You know, like hours and hours and hours or a day. This is already cooked, it's already hot, so we actually just want to get like a hot, heavy smoke on it for a few hours and dry it out, get it crusty, get it really smoky, and it's done and ready to serve. It's gonna go through like a steamy, wet phase where all this humidity is kind of coming off the surface. Then it'll start to dry out, get crusty, smoky, maybe get some red hues, but I want to go until it's like almost red-black. All right, baby, here we go. Woo! Oh, dang! Holy smoky jokes! Dude, that's insane. Yum! We've leveled up the whole technique and process, and we just upgraded it with an insane cut of meat, realistically. That's how you make the ultimate pastrami. Oh my God. Cook smarter. See you at Chef Steps.